in 4th grade, after discovering I was quote-unquote telekinetic through play fighting. I developed a hernia because I spent an entire day trying to replicate what I had done, which was moving my very lightweight action figure with nothing but the power of my mind. I told my parents what I had done and the reason why I was in pain. From morning to night, I, a 9-year-old kid, was continuously constricting my core and tensing my arm until I could push down my action figure again and again, but to no avail. I showed my parents the injury and they scheduled a doctor's appointment, which I found out I got a hernia from what I'd done. I went through surgery and never tried again out of fear that there might be more severe consequences next time. Until about 7 years later, which was around the time I started really training in 2019. After the surgery and recovery, I was left with a newfound respect for the limitations of my own body. I was scared to even think about trying to use my abilities again, let alone practice them. I didn't want to risk another injury, or worse. So I kept my powers a secret and went on with my life as a normal kid. But as I grew older, I couldn't shake the feeling that what I had done was not an accident, and that there was a reason why I was chosen to be the one to experience such a supernatural act. Years went by and I started to become more curious about my powers again. I started to do some research online, trying to find others like me. I found a few articles and videos about people claiming to have telekinetic abilities, but I wasn't sure if they were real or not. I also found some self-help articles on how to develop psychic abilities, but I was hesitant to try any of the exercises. I didn't want to risk another injury, but I also didn't want to give up on the idea of developing my abilities. Eventually, in 2019, I decided to take the risk and start training my abilities. I started off with small exercises, like trying to move small objects without touching them. I was careful not to push myself too hard, and made sure to take breaks if I felt any discomfort. As I practiced more, I started to feel more confident in my abilities. I was able to move bigger objects and even started to feel a sense of control over my abilities. I still kept my powers a secret from most people, but on July 24, 2020, I decided to post a video of me in 2019 training in my early stages on a social media platform called TikTok. I now have an exclusive online community of people who also have telekinetic abilities and of those who are ready to unlock my own form of supernaturality known as Kai Chi. We refer to this as the Kai Chi Society. Telekinesis is the ability to move objects or affect the environment with the power of the mind alone without any physical interaction. Kai Chi, created by yours truly, is a highly disciplined way of life that everyone should strive to live by, which results in a power close enough to be considered telekinesis, but not exactly. Through Kai Chi, we pressurize the air around us to a level that isn't visible, but that can replicate what we know as telekinesis. A complex and nuanced ability that requires both mental discipline and physical control. It is not something that can be easily learned or mastered, but with dedication and practice, it is possible to develop the skills necessary to harness this power. We share tips and advice on how to develop and control our powers, and it's been a great source of support for me. I'm grateful that I've been able to overcome my fear and take control of my abilities. As I continued to train my abilities, I started to notice that I was getting nosebleeds more frequently. At first, I thought it was just a coincidence, but as it happened more and more often, I knew something was wrong. I didn't want to stop training, but I also didn't want to risk my health. I asked my mom to schedule me a visit to a doctor to see what was causing the nosebleeds. After some tests and examination, the doctor told me that the intense focus and concentration required to use telekinesis was putting a strain on the blood vessels in my nose. He smirked while saying, "Telekinesis," and I heard a lot of sarcasm and ridicule in her voice. They advised me to stop training for a while and to take it easy. I was disappointed, but still, I did not decide to take the doctor's advice. After a few weeks, the nosebleeds stopped, and I felt better. I slowly started to increase my training, but this time I was more cautious. I made sure to take regular breaks, and I also made sure to listen to my body. If I felt any discomfort or if I started to get a nosebleed, I would stop and take a break. I also started to experiment with different techniques and ways to use my abilities that didn't put as much strain on my body. There was a giant shift in my progress in a single day. I woke up in a hospital bed with a scar below my ear. I felt groggy and confused, and I couldn't remember how I got there. I looked around the room and saw my mom sitting next to me, but she wouldn't tell me what had happened. She just told me that everything was going to be okay. But I wasn't okay. I knew something was wrong. I could feel it in my bones. The small amount of energy that I had did not taste like my energy from previous days. I was sure that the scar below my ear was because the doctors had put something in there to stop me from using my abilities. Looking at the scar, anyone would be able to tell that this did not come from an injury, but rather an operation. I didn't know why they would do such a thing. But I was not going to push for answers because I got the feeling that my parents made the right choice to keep me safe from whoever made them make this decision. I knew that something was wrong. I could still move object but not like before. Of course I did not tell my parents, but I was determined to overcome this obstacle, and that's exactly what I did. During my training I closed my eyes and focused all of what little energy I had into my hand. To my surprise, I got a hand cramp and the scar started oozing out a clear liquid. I threw up the food I had ate that morning and soon realized that my ability had fully returned. I was relieved and overjoyed, but I knew that I had to keep it a secret. This event gave me extreme paranoia, but the worst part was that at that point of my life, there would be no such thing as a trusted therapist, so I pushed forward. Eventually the Tai Chi Society became my therapy. Now back to the main point. Through all the trial and error, I learned to control my power in a safe and effective way. I've been able to use my abilities in ways that I never thought possible before. But I will always remember my hospitalization as a reminder to be careful and aware of my abilities. As I continued to develop my Tai Chi, I also became interested in learning martial arts, but for the disciplinary advantages rather than the violence. I wanted to find ways to control my body and my mind in order to use my powers more effectively and safely. I started to study Aikido, Bagua, Luhabafa, Tai Chi, and Hapkido. Each martial art taught me different techniques to control my body, my breathing, and my focus. Aikido helped me to learn how to control my body and move with fluidity and grace. Bagua taught me how to use circular movements to evade and redirect energy. Luhabafa taught me how to use my whole body and my movements, and to focus on my breathing. Tai Chi helped me to develop balance and control over my movements, and Hapkido taught me how to use wind momentum, which I converted to outside wind or energy manipulation. As I continued to study these martial arts, I began to notice that my abilities were becoming more powerful and easier to control. I was able to move objects with greater precision and accuracy, and I was also able to use Tai Chi for longer periods of time without getting fatigued. But that's not the only thing that I noticed. After months of studying these 5 martial arts, I noticed that my fingernails had become a purplish color, and that it was not returning to its natural color. I found out that the use of hand and finger techniques in these martial arts can cause slight discoloration due to the constant gripping and squeezing of the fingers and hands. This can lead to a darkening of the nails due to the increased blood flow and pressure on the nails. As I dedicated myself fully to my training, I noticed that my nails were getting darker and darker. I soon realized that this was a sign of the progress I was making. My body was adapting to the intense physical demands of my training, and my nails were a reflection of that. As I continued to train and hone my abilities, I decided to take a break from sharing my progress online. I wanted to focus all of my energy on getting stronger, and I felt that the pressure of updating my followers could be a distraction. In September 2020, I made the decision to take a 1-year break from posting about my progress and really focus on my training. During that time, I trained harder than ever before. I pushed myself to my limits and beyond. I experimented with new techniques and ways to use Kai Chi. I also made sure to continue my martial arts training, as I found that it helped me to control my powers more effectively. In the beginning of the break, I can truly say that I was lost. I used to believe that the reason why I was seeing so much progress in Kai Chi was because of the physical training. I thought that if I put my body through hell day in and day out, then my abilities might grow a great deal. And so that's what I did. Not only did I become huge, but I was also running faster than I have ever moved before. I felt like if I could take on any Olympic athlete and emerge victorious, but you see, that was my downfall. The more I worked out, the less I meditated. I found myself getting frustrated for the first time in a very long time, and that was the moment where I had to stop and reflect. I am at my physical prime, I thought to myself. So then why is it that my Kai Chi has not gotten any stronger? If anything, it got weaker. Through that self-questioning, I had finally realized that I had been negligent towards my mental training. How could I have been so careless? I thought, however, I never beat myself up. I need to get rid of this body and replace all the hard work that I put into it into my mind instead, I concluded. But little did I know, I would later come to realize that this was not the answer either. I stopped torturing my body and started to study the mind and how the brain works. Once I found out how the cerebrum and the nervous system worked, I studied various teachings and practiced all of them. I first started with Vipassana, which helped me to observe the present moment and gain insight into the nature of reality. This helped me develop a deeper understanding of my own mind and how it worked, and helped me focus my thoughts more effectively. Next, I began practicing Qigong, which helped me to develop a sense of balance and harmony within my body and mind. I found that the combination of movement, breathing, and meditation helped me to focus my thoughts and control my energy better. I also discovered Yoga Nidra, which I found to be a powerful tool for deep relaxation and rejuvenation. I noticed that the guided imagery and meditation practices helped me to release tension and find inner peace. Chakra meditation also played an important role in my training. By focusing on my body's energy centers, I was able to balance and harmonize my energy, which in turn helped me to control my abilities more effectively. Zazen aided me in developing a deeper sense of inner stillness and focus. I found that the discipline of sitting in a specific posture and focusing on the breath helped me to quiet my mind and control my thoughts. Samatha was another practice I tried, which pushed me to cultivate inner peace and tranquility through the repetition of a specific word or phrase. I found that by focusing on this word or phrase, I was able to control my thoughts and focus my mind more effectively. The phrase I used is private to me, but everybody should have their own. Shikantaza was another form of Zen meditation that I found to be helpful. I found that by practicing, just sitting, without any specific focus or goal, I was able to quiet my mind and access deeper levels of insight and understanding. Jhana meditation made me to cultivate concentration and mindfulness to reach deeper states of insight and understanding. I saw that by focusing on my breath and being aware of my sensations, I was able to gain a deeper understanding of my own mind and control my abilities more effectively. I also practiced Raja Yoga, which forced me to control my mind and achieve spiritual enlightenment through meditation. By incorporating the various practices of Raja Yoga, such as asanas, pranayama, and meditation, I was able to control my thoughts and focus my mind more effectively. Tritaka was the last and most effective that I studied. It helped me to improve my focus and concentration by staring at a single point, such as a candle flame or a black dot on a white paper. I later used this practice to focus on objects rather than having them fly in random directions. I learned that each practice had its own unique benefits, and that by combining them, I was able to achieve a deeper level of control and understanding of my own mind. By now, I could feel my spiritual energy's pressure skyrocketing, and I slowly started to shift back into Kai Chi training. After about 20 minutes of training, I had done something magnificent. I had barely knocked over a plastic water bottle, but that's not why I was shocked. I was shocked because I had done it without having to do any hand movements. I was not able to push objects away without having to use hand movements to pressurize the surrounding air. My energy was overflowing, I was not working out, I lost all my muscle mass, I had become wiser, my only beverage was water, and I implemented more fruits and vegetables into my diet. I thought all was going great until that same week while I was training Kai Chi for about an hour, my nose began to bleed more violently than before. This had not happened when I was still working out and practicing Kai Chi. And I knew almost immediately why it was happening, and I came to instant conclusion that a strong body is required to practice Kai Chi without blood loss. 50-50 to be exact. Just as suspected, my theory was correct. While working out, I wasn't losing blood like before, and my nausea from training also vanished. My workouts were now a lot lighter than before, and I would oftentimes spar with my younger brother, who at the time studied martial arts for a very short amount of time. After the 1-year break, I found that my abilities had grown significantly. I was able to move larger objects with ease, and my control over Kai Chi had become more precise. But the biggest change was that I no longer had to charge up before pressurizing the air around me. Before the break, I would have to focus and build up energy to create an orb of pressure, but now I could do this almost instantly. I was pleased with the progress that I had made within a year and decided to share my progress with my followers. I posted videos and photos of my training and the results I had achieved. I knew that my training was not over and that there was still room for improvement, but I was confident that I had made significant strides towards mastering my abilities. I will continue to train and improve, but I will always look back on that 1-year break as a turning point in my journey. I realized that my abilities were not just about moving objects, but about understanding and controlling the energy around me. I came to the realization that if people could understand and control their own energy, they could solve all of the problems in the world. I encourage people to master their own energy and to work towards becoming the perfect organism that stands at the pinnacle of self-mastery. I received a lot of positive feedback and people were inspired by my message. I found that as more and more people began to understand and control their own energy, the world around them began to change for the better. I saw people finding inner peace, resolving conflicts, and achieving greater success in their lives. I continued to share my message, and Kai Chi became more of a symbol of what I wanted to achieve rather than the focus of it. Kai Chi is a tool to help people understand the power of energy and how to harness it. With this understanding, I am confident that together we can create a world where peace, harmony, and mental fortitude reigns. I will continue to spread my message and help people understand the power of energy. I believe that if we all work together, we can truly create a better world for everyone.